Anyway, it's the end of May 2013, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about dementia. So, my father has dementia pretty bad, and it's made him very angry, and he's written off pretty much all of his friends, and he's written off most of his kids. And more recently, we're faced with this deal where one of the houses that my dad built, one sister wants 10% of the proceeds from the sale of that house. Well, several years ago, my parents transferred that house to 4 siblings. But one sister wants 10% of the proceeds so that my mentally disabled father can go on a world tour. Well, he can barely go down the street. His driver's license has been revoked. And he is really kind of like an impetuous child. Intransigent, angry, and kind of worse than a child in some ways. You know, at least a child likes you, right? But in this case, he doesn't really like that many people unless they can just sit there and listen to his kind of abusive claptrap. But I realize that's what happens to, some parents when they get old. They either get dementia or Alzheimer's. If you don't get Alzheimer's, you will get dementia eventually. You just wait long enough. It's just what happens, So, anyway, so it's kind of a difficult situation because there's now this huge conflict about one sister. She essentially wants as much cash as possible because she can't work. She's the one living with my father. So, anyway, I guess the bottom line is when you see how your parents act and what they do, it makes you realize what you need to do to not screw up the lives, or at least temporarily disable the lives of your own kids, mess them up for several years so they have to dig out of the hole that you put them in, or that you haven't helped them extract them from, or create more fights in the family through your own, inappropriate mental states. So hopefully, when I'm the same age as my dad now, maybe I can play this video and remember that some key things. Point number 1 is don't play favorites with your kids. All right? Don't treat the girls better than the boys. Don't tell one kid that how bad another kid was. It's not right. You shouldn't put that burden onto your kids, Even if one kid is a little bit more well-behaved than another kid, you shouldn't play favorites, I don't think. It creates confusion in the mind of your kids and resentment. Anyway, so that's that. And then when you know your brain has gone far enough, you should just, try to not be a burden too much to your kids. And I realize in some countries, the old conjugal parents, it's normal for them to stay with their kids. You know, it's almost kind of expected. And I think that's okay, as long as the parents are not in such a degraded mental state that they're just so angry with everyone, you know. And anyway, so that's what's happening. So we'll try to move forward and do healthy things, not be dragged down by the current conflict. But when lawyers get involved in your family and lawsuits and stuff, you know that there's big problems. So, for example, this one sister of mine who wants the 10% so that she can go on a world tour with my father. It's primarily for her benefit, really. It's kind of a retirement fund for her. She wants the 10% of the proceeds from this house. Anyway, when you have that situation, well, there was another situation where she allowed my father to drive back into the police car of a neighbor who works for the police. My dad backed into his car, for hell's sakes. What the heck? And my dad can be kind of a bully in his current situation, you know. So it's very difficult. But anyway, in the new age of the internet, we get to tell about everything, right? So I guess the bottom line is I'm making this to remind myself in the future that when I'm a codgety old fart, to try to be less of an annoyance and less of a problem to my own kids. So, and less of a source for conflict. You know. So anyway, have fun.